but the Code Blue conditions that are set in law last for 2 days after that cold snap. So everybody gets a chance to get some sleep, to get safe, and then by the time the Code Blue kicks off, then they may have to move their site. But again, it's now back to something more reasonable in terms of temperatures.
So say it hits 15 degrees, at least for 2 days after that, the Code Blue is in effect?
Correct.
Yeah. And it could be extended. Right now, it looks like on the website, which was the Department of Health's website, Wendy, where they listed the Code Blue and all the counties, it's a huge amount of counties. It's 20 of 29 counties. They look like they've already gone through like January 10th. So we've got today, the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th. So you can anticipate this, this going on for the next couple of days because the temperatures are supposed to be so cold. Do you know of any government buildings, Wendy, with your work with people experiencing homelessness that were opened up over the weekend with these cold temperatures under this Code Blue alert? Have we gotten to that point yet?
I don't think it was a government building, but Valley Mental Health is pretty much completely funded by Salt Lake County, and they donated a basement of one of their buildings. And then county employees are volunteering their time to run that shelter. So that's a pretty amazing program because you don't always see government employees like stepping up like that, and it's a really creative approach. And it gives people the chance to do the right thing. So I think that's a really good meshing of the public and private partnerships. But I don't know of any government buildings specifically that have opened up so far.
Wendy Garvin, thank you for joining us from Unsheltered Utah.
Yeah, Wendy, thank you. And thank you for the work you are doing to help people who are experiencing homelessness and who, just to make sure they're not left out in the cold and in very dangerous conditions. Straight ahead, we're going to check in with our very own Tim Hughes and his experience in skiing this past weekend. I think he went to the one resort that kind of got snubbed by all of the snow. But boy, if you were heading to Bryan Head, which I've never skied there in Cedar City, why would I go to Cedar City to ski? But maybe I will now because they got 2 feet of snow in the last 2 days at Bryan Head. They're the winners. Also got UDOT calling straight ahead to give us an update on the roads to the ski resorts next.
Dave and Dujanovic. A lot of us are filling our workdays with podcasts.
When you're working, go to KSLNewsRadio.com.
Click on Dave and Debbie's podcast and pick a topic and story length.
Podcast with Dave and Debbie. Then get to work with KSL News Radio.
The new year is here, and it's time to take advantage of Zero Res's best deal of the year. Carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, basically every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. Don't DIY it. Call Zero Res because you know it's safe and effective. Have you even Googled the company? They have a 4.8 rating on Google with over 3,300 reviews. The Zero Res Gotta Love It guarantee makes it easy to get what you pay for. Yeah, Zero Res absolutely stands behind every cleaning. Go ahead and get clean, but don't miss the best deal of the year. Get back to clean and get carpet cleaning for just $25 per room with promo code 25RM and 24% off upholstery cleaning with code SOFA24. Call Zero Res right now, 801-288-9376, or go online at zerores.com/Salt Lake and say you want the station special. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forwards. It spells the same.
Looking for the best show deals on new and used RVs? You'll find them only in Ogden during the Northern Utah RV Show, January 11th through the 15th. We're bringing in new and used inventory and low show pricing inside the Golden Spike Event Center. For 4 full days, shop new and used travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, motorhomes, and more from the nation's top brands. Find early season discount pricing on all new models and fantastic used RV discounts like a 2011 Dutchman 185 DB Sport for just $9,995. You'll also find that every remaining 2023 is being sold at clearance pricing during the event. Plus, get no payments until April on approved credits and huge trade-in offers on your current RV. Go to NorthUtahRVShow.com to shop the best deals first. This show season, you'll find it all in Ogden. Admission and parking are free to the Northern Utah RV Show, January 11th through the 15th inside the Golden Spike Event Center. Open daily at 10 a.m., closed Sunday. Then we're back at it Monday, Martin Luther King Day from 10 to 5. Sponsored by Bish's RV. Don't miss it.
It's the question that's been on everybody's mind, and it's about to be answered. When will Gillette Heating and Air offer plumbing services?
You want to know?
Yeah! The answer is now. To celebrate, Gillette is offering a free tankless water heater when you buy a high-efficiency heating and cooling system. For a limited time while supplies last, call Gillette today for heating, AC, and now plumbing. Call 385-GET-HEAT.
Carrier, turn to the experts. Brought to you by Dominion Energy's ThermWise program, where they put their energy into helping you conserve it. Start saving energy and money today at thermwise.com.
Boyd Matheson on the pitfalls of politics.
I think the biggest thing we all have to reject is the status quo. We have to reject the kind of politics that have been served up to us and that we've bought into. The biggest question for all of us is, what are we afraid of? And often what we're afraid of is losing power. Politicians often tell us, you can vote for whoever you want, but if you vote for someone other than me, you'll lose power, you'll lose influence. And we have to reject that. Our voting right is our most sacred and fundamental right. Vote for the best person, even if they're not in either political party. Some will try to convince you that's throwing your vote away and the evil, awful other side is going to win because of that. That's what they want you to believe. Because if you're functioning out of a position of fear, we all lose. You'll vote for the status quo, and that keeps the status quo in power.
Join Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson, 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio. With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Amanda Dixon. First, between tomorrow and Friday night, the valleys could get upwards of a foot of snow and more than twice that in the mountains. Second, the University of Utah says they will no longer use diversity, equity, and inclusion statements in their hiring process. And third, the CDC says respiratory illness is either elevated or increasing across most areas of the country. Right now, 21 degrees in Salt Lake City. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
David Dujanovic. David Dujanovic. David Dujanovic. David Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
If you feel like your favorite ski resort was snubbed over the last few days from all of the snow other ski resorts got, don't be jealous. It's supposed to snow on and off quite a bit over the next several days. Dave, how much did Matt tell us it was going to amount to?
It could be 60 inches by the end of the week.
So Brian Head in Cedar City, that's a ski resort down there. The winner, man, 2 feet of fresh powder in 2 days. Alta gets 13 inches, Cherry Peak 14 inches, Powder Mountain 15 inches. Aren't you a Powder Mountain guy, Dave?
Yeah, love Powder Mountain, Snow Basin. Those northern ones are great.
Park City, wah, wah, wah.
Don't look at me when
and
you
that's
say that.
only because our
That's
very
yours,
own
Tim.
Hughes and his wife were up there this weekend and skiing, I presume, or hoping to ski on fresh powder.
Yeah.
4 inches. Were you disappointed?
Didn't get a lot. Yeah, we were disappointed. Whenever we get these lake effect storms, the Wasatch Back just gets missed. The Cottonwood Canyon suck up all of that moisture, and it just sort of stops as it hits the Wasatch Mountain Range. But let me just say this. We work very closely on the outdoor show with Ski Utah, and I always want to make the point. Our resorts do amazing work dealing with what Mother Nature provides them or doesn't provide them. So we still had 2 great days of skiing. My wife is still up there. I came home because I have to work, and she's retired.
I love it.
But she's still up there. So hopefully the next 3 or 4 days storms do a little bit better for the Wasatch Back.
What were the conditions like? Were there a lot of restricted runs? Not everything is open. And,
yeah. And there's only so many runs they can, operate their snowblowing operations on, and so parts of the mountain still aren't open, and they're waiting for Mother Nature to do their part. We had a story a couple of days ago. You guys probably talked about it, the number of injuries on resorts, not just here but around the country. It's because all those people are being funneled onto fewer and fewer runs, unfortunately.
That makes sense, Tim.
And so you have people that should not be skiing some runs, let me just say that, for their abilities, but they're forced down those runs, and it can be a little scary.
Yeah, well, you're an expert skier on the same run with a beginner skier.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for trouble.
Yeah.
How was the snow? Enough that you weren't hitting rocks?
No, we still found some rocks.
Really?
Yeah. And even, if you're in Park City, you only get 2 or 4 inches. It gets skied off pretty quickly. and then the rocks get pushed around in different directions. So it's more than just, Snowbird deals with a lot of rocks because it's a rocky face,
Right.
and so they need more coverage actually up there than most resorts do. But this wasn't like giant rocks sticking up out of the ground. It's just like pebbles of rocks from the dirt strewn everywhere.
They can still tear up your skis, though.
That's a terrible feeling when you're gliding and gliding and gliding,
You
and
just
then
feel it. You just go across. One of the nice things, though, about these very cold temperatures, that is very helpful when they're trying to make snow or be able to add to the base.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And without that, and without the new technology, and that's why resorts, rather than looking to open up and cut new terrain recently, they'll put in new lifts here and there that'll speed up getting people up the mountain. But their big effort over the last few years has been putting in better snowmaking machines and capabilities in more places on the mountain. That requires water. And so you'll see water reservoirs in some cases. You climb right over them on the gondola up at Park City that they pull their water from to be able to blow the snow.
So Park City, hopefully, fingers crossed, a lot more snow over the next few days.
Yes, please.
Snowbird, you mentioned Snowbird, Tim, got 12 inches over the last couple of days. Snow Basin.
They really got hit from this last
16 inches,
Yeah.
Snow Basin.
Yep.
It's a powder day.
It is a powder
It's
day.
a powder day. So let's get with Mitch Shaw, the Utah Department of Transportation's communications manager for Region 1. So I guess Region 1 is our region up here, huh, Mitch?
Region 1, yeah. Region 1 is everything north of Salt Lake County. So
how are the roads to the resorts? Let's start like Little and Big Cottonwood Canyon areas.
So right now, the Little and Big Cottonwood Canyon areas are looking good. We actually, about an hour ago, we just lifted the traction law. So you don't have to have the traction devices on your tires that we recommend when the conditions are bad. But again, that's up on our high elevation roads. That's something that can change in the blink of an eye. So current road conditions are good, but that can always change. And we'll be watching the weather forecast closely, and we do expect some more snow over the coming days.
Mitch, these cold temperatures I know can be difficult as far as your prevention systems, some of your salt. How cold does it have to get before some of your abilities are nullified?
Well, I'll just say this: when it gets extremely cold like it is today, it makes it harder. The ice can form, and it can be hard for us to keep it off the road, especially like, for example, if you're driving up I-84 through Weber Canyon. You've got the Weber River right next to you, and when it's this cold, the water's flowing, condensation can happen, and ice, like a really thin sheer layer of ice, can form on the road. So we try to do the best we can to pre-treat the roads, and obviously we've got a team of meteorologists tracking storms, so we can kind of prioritize where our assets will go. But again, sometimes Mother Nature, has a mind of her own, and it's hard to keep up. So when it gets cold like this, when the storms are coming in, it's best to just slow down, be aware that there can be ice on the roads, even though we're trying to do our best to clear it, and just drive for the conditions that you're in.
But right now, it looks like you got Little Cottonwood open, Big Cottonwood Canyon open. Restrictions have been lifted, at least for now. Best way for people to get the latest information, Mitch, if they want to avoid, maybe a closure on one of those canyon roads for avalanche control, or because it's just a mess.
Yeah, our UDOT traffic app is really good at posting updates like that. You can also go to the UDOT Cottonwood Canyon's Twitter page. They really post a lot of updates, and they post them in real time. So as soon as we get the word that a closure is happening, that'll go up on there, and that's just at UDOT Cottonwoods. So those are a couple places I would recommend people to go if they're looking to see kind of what the conditions are.
So I know this wasn't a problem last year. I mean, you had snowplow drivers just being used, it seemed like, nonstop all season long. How has that been so far with the snowplows? Yeah,
so this year has been, obviously we haven't seen as much snow as we saw last year. Everybody knows last year was a record-breaking year in terms of snow. And up until these last couple storms, it's been relatively quiet for our plow operators, and that's really been kind of nice for them, because last year, like you said, they were like
they're
every
probably
other day
still
they were
burnt
out
out.
on the roads. Yeah, we had a lot of overtime hours put in, and it wasn't only the snow. So if our maintenance folks weren't out plowing the snow, if there was a kind of a window where the snow wasn't hitting us, they would be out fixing the road. They'd be fixing potholes. So needless to say, they put in a lot of work, a lot of overtime hours. So yeah, this year's a little different, but it looks like it's gonna ramp up again in the next couple of days.
Well, Mitch, thanks for joining us. Mitch Shaw, UDOT's communication manager for Region 1.
Yeah, I was watching some of the snow plows go by from my living room window yesterday, and I just thought, I wonder if they have like emotionally, physically recovered from the wild year that they had last season with all of the snow that we were getting. Not as much so far this year, but boy, we are on track this week to make up some lost ground that we didn't quite have as much snow as we'd hoped for in December. It looks like January, we are in a big turnaround. This is the story that you've been wanting to talk about all day, the craziness in the skies, Dave.
Yeah, this is a story over the weekend I couldn't wait to get to work to talk about, because it was one of the most amazing sights I've ever seen. A huge chunk of a plane blows off, a commercial airliner blows off, and no one's injured. How in the world did that happen? We'll tell you. In the sky. 15,000 feet.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour. Catch your breath today, because for the rest of the week, we've got snow and more snow. KSL meteorologist Kristen Van Dyke says today will be mostly dry, but snow will start again in waves tomorrow afternoon and evening, Wednesday, and again on Saturday.
This weekend, we could be talking well over a foot of snow for the Wasatch Front total, and then for our mountains, we could be talking 30 inches plus.
And when it comes to when it'll affect roads the most, Kristen says plan for your drive back home tomorrow and Wednesday. A K-9 officer from the Mapleton Police Department who was seriously hurt in a training exercise has returned home from the hospital now. Officer Rebecca Hatch hit her head on the ground during a training at the Spanish Fork Fairgrounds with other K-9 handlers. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. America's next big adventure in space is underway. ABC's Jim Ryan says it began at Florida's Cape Canaveral this morning.
We have ignition.
In the middle of the night, the new Vulcan Centaur rocket had its maiden launch carrying cargo and scientific instruments for NASA and several private companies. Whereas Apollo 11 soft landed in the Sea of Tranquility in 1969, the Peregrine 1 lander is set to touch down February 23rd in a lunar feature called Sinus Viscositatis, which translates to Bay of Stickiness. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
The mission's in no hurry to reach the moon. It won't get there until the middle of next month. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day right now, 64 points. The NASDAQ, on the other hand, is up 189 right now. And our KSL weather, it's going to be a snowy week. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
You know what's great about KSL's traffic coverage? Trained traffic reporters and real listeners.
Trading information and making the commute safer and faster for everyone.
Every 10 minutes on the nines, we have you covered on KSL News Radio.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
God, I'm so stressed. It's a brand new year and our business is busier than ever.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 35 features.
Ooma?
Yep.
Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Starts at $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees. Ooma. Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
I say it all the time. When it comes to your SOTA weight loss journey, there's no time to lose. There's only time to win, and there's no time better to win than right now. This is the time to get going on your SOTA weight loss journey. It's SOTA. It stands for state of the art because it is state of the art. You've heard me say it over and over. I've lost 37 pounds in 90 days. I'm 2 years into my maintenance program. I'm exactly at the right spot. Feel great. Look better. Everything's right where I want it to be, all through SOTA weight loss. Right now, your chance to win is even greater because you could actually win a full year of SOTA's amazing program. And get this, a $2,000 wardrobe makeover in SOTA's Shape Up Showdown. You're ready for it. All you have to do is email shapeup@sotaweightloss.com. As I said, there's no time to lose. There's only time to win. Check it out at sotaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. Listen, we're fiduciaries. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. Now, imagine how that would be if you could actually retire 3 to 5 years sooner than your plan was. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan, taking into consideration any rental properties that you have, any pension income that you have, your Social Security. Listen, we put that all together for you in writing. It will allow us to build your income based on inflation. You know, inflation has been rapidly rising. You and I both need a plan that whatever we start out our income at, in 5 or 10 years, we're going to need 40% more income. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair. Save up to 20 cents with Dino Pay. Here's Lynn Thomas.
Well, Dan, sunshine melting some of the ice on the highways, but still some slow spots. Utah County taking the brunt this morning, but most of the delays are gone now. I-15 a bit slow over the point of the mountain to Bluffdale. Freeways looking good in Salt Lake Valley, a little bit slow in Davis County, late into Kaysville, and at the North Interchange westbound of the I-215 where a crash resides on the right shoulder at the Redwood Road Legacy merge onto here. It's 2024, time to get zero-resified with Zero Res. This month, get one room of carpet cleaning starting at $25 per room with promo code 25RM. Book today at zerores.com/Salt Lake. I'm Len Thomas in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, dry and cold through the rest of the day. Cold front brings more snow tomorrow, with additional snow expected on Wednesday and through the rest of the week. Right now, 21 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Put your seatbelt on and leave it there. I mean, do not remove your seatbelt. Stay in your seat. Keep your seatbelt on because we're going to take you on a wild ride. It happened over the skies this weekend. And this is the one story Dave could not wait to bust through the newsroom door to talk about today. Imagine you're flying, sitting, you're minding your own business like you do. You're watching a movie, you're listening to some soothing music. When a large chunk of a plane that's the size of the door, but it's not the emergency door, it rips off mid-flight.
At about 15,000 feet. No big deal.
It's exactly what happened to Alaska Airlines Flight 1282 out of Portland. Here's a couple passengers describing what happened to ABC News.
There was a really loud pop or a loud bang and like a whoosh of air, and the oxygen masks came down at the same exact time.
Did somebody fall out of the plane? You know, what is happening? What did we hit something? Did something hit us? We just had no idea. And so it was a lot of confusion.
And the pilots don't know what's happened. And there was so much going on. Let me describe a little bit. Because a lot of people, when they look at it, they're like, oh, it looks like the emergency door blew off.
That's what I thought. I thought they forgot to lock it or something like that.
Or someone had opened it, perhaps.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, the way the 737 is designed from Boeing, I was listening to reports early this morning, and they basically have, when they're building this plane, 2 spots for emergency doors. So depending on how the plane is configured, you could add an emergency door. Well, this was that second possible emergency door, but they didn't want to use it as an emergency door, so they basically just seal it off, and it's called a door plug. So they put it on there, they seal it up, and it can't be opened. Well, that's what failed. So it kind of looks like a door. It's more of a panel. This door plug, they say, it blows off in the entire. It's a chunk, right? It's almost like it was removed on purpose. It looks like that. It wasn't like it was ripped and torn apart. It was just a very clean break from the fuselage.
But then they're mid-flight. I mean, they're 15,000 feet, 16,000 feet. They're on their way to Ontario, California, out of Portland. So I read where they boarded or they took off at about 5:07. And then this happens just within a couple of minutes into the flight, and then they got to make a U-turn right away and start. And you can imagine, and you can just see the wind like blowing because there's this huge piece of the plane that's missing, and now it's just everybody's just exposed, at least in that section of the plane. And then they start losing air pressure.
Yeah,
as soon as
that
masks
blows off, then they've lost air pressure, and everything kind of gets sucked out. ABC News did a great job of describing what was happening, and if you're wondering, like, how are people still in their seats, and why didn't everyone just get sucked out, they explain it.
Well, when an aircraft in real life loses cabin pressure, it means that seal between the inside and outside has snapped.
Yes, we are emergency. We are depressurized.
And in the case of an Alaska Airlines flight this weekend, it meant that a piece of the wall separating passengers from sky burst open, leaving a hole in the side of their plane.
It seemed like something rushed into the cabin and then rushed out.
Before the flight attendants even said anything, we were all grabbing the oxygen masks.
When it landed, we got our first look at the damage to this aircraft, and it was shocking because from the outside, it looks like an aircraft door came open, like the emergency exit or something. From the inside, you can see from these photos, this is not an emergency exit row, but rather just a piece of the wall that had just popped off. As of this morning, entire fleets of aircraft are grounded as officials examine them.
And, Debbie, when we're looking at this, what is the most shocking part of this entire story to me? No serious injuries. No injuries, really, at all. In part because the 2 seats that were sitting right next to the door, or the chunk that blew off, empty.
They just didn't have passengers sitting in those seats. It's not because somebody got sucked out of the plane.
No,
nobody was.
No one was sitting there.
Yeah, I don't know if they were late for their flight, or thank goodness if they were, or if they just nobody booked those 2 seats right by that section. Because as you heard that reporter say, this was not near the emergency exit.
No.
Okay.
Much farther back on the plane.
So we've gotten text messages this morning saying, "Oh, this is just emergency exit." It was not. It was just like this innocuous area of the plane that if you chose, because some people don't want to sit near the emergency exit because it comes with a lot of responsibility, right? Like you have to actually help people get off the plane if there's a problem. I don't want any part of that. So when I book my flights, I'm like, that is not in my wheelhouse. Sorry, y'all. I can put on your child's oxygen mask for them if you need me to, but I will not be able to stand there and direct traffic off of a plane. So I specifically sit away from the emergency exit, but I also sit right near the window. I can't remember the last time you would have caught me on a flight in an aisle seat. So now that goes out the window for me. Because can you imagine how many people do you see on a plane, even during takeoff and landing, who just don't have their seatbelt on, or they take it off, it's uncomfortable, or they go to reach. For me, I'm like, I want to grab my whatever, my book. I forgot it's in my backpack. It's under the seat in front of me. So I got to reach. Maybe I'll just sneak off this seatbelt for just a second and I'll reach under there. Never again will I do that.
Yeah.
Never again will you catch me on a flight without a seatbelt on. Because can you imagine, Dave? Seriously, if they had not had their seatbelts on,
they get sucked out.
People's shirts got ripped off. And they're somewhere in somebody's yard right now, 15,000 feet below. Cell phones got whisked out of the plane. So just listen to this. This is the NTSB describing about the damage to the chairs that were in this area.
26A was torqued, so was 25A. The headrests on 25A and 26A were gone. The seat back on 26A is also missing. The tray table on the back of 26A is also missing.
And listen to the description of what was happening inside the cabin.
It tore off her son's shirt. Passengers describe a T-shirt being sucked off a child and out the window. You'll also notice there weren't a lot of cell phone videos. There was some, but not a lot, because a lot of people lost their cell phones. When the cabin depressurizes, anything that's not tied down is sucked out. That brings me to my next point. They were at 16,000 feet, just a few minutes after takeoff, which means everybody was still buckled in. Had this been at the cruise level when the flight attendants were out giving food or drinks, people were walking to the restrooms, they would have been sucked out. It would have been a much worse situation.
It just got sick to my stomach.
Oh, it could have been. It should have been catastrophic.
Did they find a phone?
Debbie, they found a phone that had fallen from this plane 16,000 feet, and they turned it on, and it worked.
What if it would have hit somebody in the head on the way down? That's another thing I thought of. What about that
What
big?
are the chances?
What are the big? What did they? I just saw that they found that huge chunk of the plane that fell in a.
It was in Portland.
In a school teacher's backyard.
You can't give that back, right? You're like, no. Finders keepers, I am keeping that thing. That is my lawn art from here on out.
I do think this will have me changing some of my ways when I fly. I just will. You're gonna text me at 57500 and you're gonna light me up for saying that. But I think it will. I definitely will not be removing my seatbelt ever. Ever. And it'll have to be like a 7-hour flight. Thank goodness this wasn't over the ocean. And they were so close.
Okay, speaking
to the
of
airport, they could turn around.
Okay, this is. There's some more to this story, Debbie. You say, thank goodness they weren't over the ocean.
Yeah,
this plane had already been. I don't know. It hadn't been grounded, but it had some problems before that they knew about.
This plane.
And they had said this plane specifically cannot fly over large bodies of water. And it was still in service. I'll tell you more about it next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
You know KSL is the only news radio for your car, right?
The only news radio for your smart speaker.
Come here in the morning. It's the latest news and traffic. In the afternoon, news and updated weather.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
The Cougars tear into their first Big 12 conference game.
Dawson Baker, the three-point maker.
Tuesday at 6, it's BYU, Baylor. BYU, Baylor. Pre-game coverage. Tuesday at 6 on Utah's legacy home for the Big 12 and the BYU Cougars. KSL News Radio.
The monster is coming, and it wants you and your family.
And that's great news, really, because it's time for the Bear Lake Monster Winterfest, January 26th through the 28th. Winterfest is all about an incredible celebration of winter and all the fun it brings. So start Friday with Monster Winter Sports and Trails Day, a free event featuring fat tire bikes, snowshoes, snowmobiles, and tubes for the kids. Also a taste of Bear Lake, with local restaurants dishing up their tasty specialties. Then Saturday, it's the Monster 5K Walk and Run, a Monster Cisco Disco Tournament, chili cook-off, even a cardboard boat regatta, followed by the famous Monster Plunge. Come on, Bear Lake awaits. Visit BearLakeMonsterWinterfest.com for pre-registration times and locations. That's BearLakeMonsterWinterfest.com. Presented by Bear Lake Visitors Bureau and Bear Lake Chamber.
Introducing Yes Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. We're bringing all of Utah's favorite HVAC, plumbing, and electrical brands under one roof. Whether it's a small clog or a larger mainline sewer drain issue, the experienced technicians at Yes are ready to solve all of your drain problems. Take advantage of our 83 or It's Free mainline drain clearing special. Feel secure knowing the trusted professionals at Yes guarantee that if we can't clear it, you don't pay for it. Visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions.
Looking for the best show deals on new and used RVs? You'll find them only in Ogden during the Northern Utah RV Show, January 11th through the 15th. We're bringing in new and used inventory and low show pricing inside the Golden Spike Event Center. For 4 full days, shop new and used travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, motorhomes, and more from the nation's top brands. Find early season discount pricing on all new models and fantastic used RV discounts like a 2011 Dutchman 185 DB Sport for just $9,995. You'll also find that every remaining 2023 is being sold at clearance pricing during the event. Plus, get no payments until April on approved credits and huge trade-in offers on your current RV. Go to NorthUtahRVShow.com to shop the best deals first. This show season, you'll find it all in Ogden. Admission and parking are free to the Northern Utah RV Show, January 11th through the 15th inside the Golden Spike Event Center. Open daily at 10 a.m., closed Sunday. Then we're back at it Monday, Martin Luther King Day from 10 to 5. Sponsored by Bish's RV. Don't miss it.
Hi, this is Cameron Rising. Growing up, summer break was the best, but I've learned that a lot of kids don't feel the same. That's because summer means their school breakfast and lunch won't be available. What's awesome is the food bank helps. Join me and Les Olson IT by giving food, time, or money. Take your donations to any Les Olson IT branch or the food bank. And find more info at lesolson.com/food. Let's support our community together.
Denise has been playing jazz for 40 years. Last concert, one of the musicians fell sick with RSV. Respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems. This time, she's choosing to help protect herself with Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo. Abrysvo is a vaccine for the prevention of lower respiratory tract disease caused by respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, in adults 60 years of age and older. Abrysvo is not for everyone and may not protect all who receive the vaccine. Don't get Abrysvo if you've had a severe allergic reaction to its ingredients. People with a weakened immune system may have a decreased response to Abrysvo. The most common side effects are tiredness, headache, pain at the injection site, and muscle pain. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit abrysvo.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, we'll see snow off and on all week long. As much as a foot could pile up in our valleys by Friday. Second, a Mapleton canine handler injured in a training accident, back home from the hospital now. And third, the lunar mission that launched this morning, supposed to land in a place called the Bay of Stickiness on the moon in about 6 weeks. Right now, 21 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
This story is one for the ages. This is a Boeing 737 MAX 9 mid-flight, about 15,000 feet, leaving Portland on Friday on its way to Ontario, California. And then a large section, not the emergency door, just a large section of the plane's fuselage rips off at about 15,000 feet. Here's the NTSB describing what was going on with the chairs that were right near that section that just, boop, blew off and flew to the ground.
26A was torqued, so was 25A. The headrests on 25A and 26A were gone. The seat back on 26A is also missing. The tray table on the back of 26A is also missing.
How incredible that nobody was sitting in those seats. Those were just empty seats in just the right place that gets torn away where nobody is at. I mean, that is so miraculous.
In the break, you and I were also talking about how miraculous it was that this happened when it did. And they were able to get back to the airport almost immediately within minutes of taking off. They were back at the airport, but they were still at 15,000 feet. We were talking in the break about, at that point, everybody pretty much, thankfully, still has their seatbelts on because you're on takeoff. You're listening to what, the flight attendants are telling you. That video that you watched at the beginning of the flight is telling you to do. Because if this had been at 30,000 feet and people were, mulling about the cabin, waiting to, getting something out of the overhead bin or going to the bathroom, a shirt got ripped off of a child on this flight. Boom, gone out this big hole now that's in the plane.
Yeah.
Cell phones got sucked out of the plane. Humans could have been sucked out of the plane. I mean, it's scary to even think about. But the timing was, in a lot of ways, perfect for everybody to be okay.
Yeah, that everybody was locked in. Now, a plane can obviously fly with a door open. Skydiving, obviously, this happens all the
that's
time.
True.
So
that's a good point.
It's not that a plane cannot be open or have the problem is the pressurization. So I heard a good comparison. I liked how they described it, but the plane is kind of like a soda can. So it's all pressurized inside the soda can, and as soon as you open up the soda can, what happens? Well, all of a sudden, all the air rushes out, the bubbles start coming. Well, that's exactly what happens when you rip off a pressurized chunk of the cabin. Is the air rushes out and it just sucks everything out. Anything that is not tied down, it sucks out. So it would have theoretically sucked out any human that wasn't locked in. What it did is take a lot of cell phones, a lot of loose things in the cabin. It just sucked everything out. In fact, that was one of the descriptions. They said the reason we don't have more video of this kind of stuff is because the cell phones in your hand, they just got ripped out of people's hands and sucked out the door.
In a moment, Dave's going to go into some details that we're learning about this particular plane. It was Alaska Airlines flight from Portland to Ontario, but he's gotten some information that's crossed this morning about this particular plane and why it was no longer flying across the ocean.
Yeah.
But I want to talk just for one more second about the landing and how incredibly calm everybody was. That's the plane landing.
Do you remember, have you ever been on
wind.
A plane where after a landing people cheer and clap? This seems like an appropriate time when people should have been cheering and clapping.
This wasn't even the emergency door. We're at the end of the plane.
You can hardly hear it.
The door's right there. It was just a piece of plane.
Yeah, what she's saying, this lady is recording and speaking. She said, this is not even an emergency door. This is just a section of the plane. And she was just baffled by it. But there was an incredible amount of calm. Shocking that nobody was injured. But it does ask or bring up a lot of questions about the Boeing 737 MAX 9. ABC News has more about what is next for this because at least as of this morning, these planes have been grounded.
We are the global gold standard for safety around the world, but we have to maintain that standard.
Was this a individual event on this particular airplane where, someone who was installing this part when it came down from the factory messed up somewhere? Or is this some sort of structural problem that's on a number of airplanes?
Right.
That's what they need to figure out. And that's why all of these planes are grounded. The 737 MAX 9 version is the one that is affected by this. And there's about 170 of them worldwide that are affected by this that have been grounded.
And does that mean does that affect air travel over the next several days or weeks or anything, Sam?
It is. Here in the United States, United Airlines and Alaska are the two carriers that fly the MAX 9 planes. So Southwest doesn't, American doesn't, Delta does not fly it. But United, they're already dealing with a slew of cancellations along with Alaska, of course. What they're trying to do is move planes around. For example, if United has 15 flights a day from Newark to Chicago, well, maybe they can reduce that to 3, take 3 of those planes and place them in other parts of the system. But regardless, they don't have enough planes, and some flights are going to be canceled until they can get them back up into the air. But before they do that, they need to figure out if this is affecting just one plane or all of the fleet.
So, of course, this begs the question, like, what is the flight situation out right now at the Salt Lake International Airport and airports around the country? I'm on flightaware.com. I'm looking at what they call their misery map, which is a map that outlines cancellations and delays. And Salt Lake City is in pretty good shape, especially given not only the grounding of these planes, but in addition, the weather that we're having today with the snow. A few flights are delayed, about a dozen or so, a couple canceled. But it looks like other airports are having many more, like Denver, 62 delays, 16 cancellations. Don't know if all of those are attributable to this particular situation with the grounding of the Boeing MAX 9 plane, but definitely check that misery map before you leave for the airport.
Another little part of this story, and I read this in the New York Times, the Associated Press has reported on this, but this plane was not being used for long flights over water because they had some pressurization warning lights that had gone off during 3 recent flights.
Really?
So they were already getting warnings.
This particular plane.
Yes.
This flight, Alaska Airlines, was at 1282 from Portland to Ontario. That particular plane had problems.
Yeah, 3 different times, 3 recent flights, they had a pressurization warning light go on. Well, the door, the section blows off, and again, it wasn't a door. It
was a
it was one of those,
area.
It could have been a door.
You wouldn't, it looks like the size of a door, but it's not.
Yeah. But anyway, they had warning lights go off. The NTSB wants to know exactly why or what had happened. How did you address this? It's just another layer to this story and questions of what had happened.
Well, it's a good thing it wasn't flying over the ocean. But I suppose that federal regulators will want to know if it should have even been in the air at all.
Yes.
And so we'll continue to follow the developments on this story as they unfold. But it was a wild ride, and it was a story that everybody was talking about over the weekend. This Alaska Airlines flight, everybody was safe. All is well that ends well. But a huge chunk of the plane that ended up in a teacher's backyard randomly in Portland. And the pilots managed to hobble that plane back, and actually it flew quite well back to the airport in Portland. I think it was in flight a total of 15 minutes, but my book would have been 15 minutes too long if I was on that flight.
I still can't wrap my head around the iPhone that was found that fell 16,000 feet, and it was still working. I dropped mine from 4 feet, cracked glass, and I've got to replace it. So go figure.
Next, we're going to take a look at the Iowa caucuses, which are 1 week out. Nikki Haley, given it looks like she's getting her boost in the polls right now. Let's ask a former candidate for U.S. Senate, Allie Isom, what she feels like Nikki Haley's chances are to eclipse former President Trump.
It's 10:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top local story this hour. A woman in Provo says she was acting in self-defense when she shot her husband over the weekend. Police say the evidence doesn't add up. KSL News Radio's Michael Commit has more.
Police arrived at the home of 56-year-old Melissa Johnson Fawcett on Saturday evening. They discovered the body of her husband, Corey, outside the doorway to her room. She claims he had attacked her and began hitting her on the head, and she acted in self-defense. Detectives say the gun she said she used had no signs of blood on it, but a second gun, which was discovered later on, did. But police say she denied it was human blood. Doctors also didn't find any evidence that Johnson Fawcett was injured on her head. This investigation is ongoing, but police say Melissa was arrested. Michael Commit, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. When the U.S. Congress gets back to work, Congressman Burgess Owens from Utah says immigration should be the top priority. Both Owens and newly elected 2nd District Representative Celeste Malloy toured the southwest border last week. And Malloy on KSL News Radio says everyone's systems there are overwhelmed.
Sheriffs we talk to are beleaguered. The Border Patrol we talk to is they're overwhelmed. They're processing paperwork instead of patrolling and picking people up.
December border crossings broke an all-time record, exceeding 300,000 apprehended and processed by Border Patrol agents in a single month. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day right now, 81 points. The NASDAQ is up, on the other hand, up 190 points right now. And our KSL weather looks like a snowy week ahead. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
My little brother's friends have been camped out at our place for 2 days straight. 3. It's because of the Xfinity 10G network. Internet that can handle a house full of screens at once, with basically no interruptions. And it's only getting faster. When I was their age, internet like this was a pipe dream.
You sound like my grandpa.
Please go home.
The next generation 10G network only from Xfinity. The future starts now. Now through March 21st, new customers can get 1.2 gigabit internet on the Xfinity 10G network for just $25 a month for 2 years with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add Xfinity Mobile with unlimited data at regular rates. Go to Xfinity.com/10G, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless bill and auto-pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. A little experiment here that you can try in your home just for fun. Take 2 water heaters, run hard water through one and soft water through the other, then count how many years each one lasts. Now, of course, I can save you all that trouble because the experiment takes place every day in countless homes right here in the state of Utah. The result's always the same. Hard water makes water heaters and other appliances conk out years before they should. And that's why when Dee and I built our new home, I informed the builder that we'd have Connecticut put in our soft water. I just won't settle for anything else. With Connecticut, you'll use 2/3 less salt. All the mechanical design makes it virtually maintenance-free. And I'll tell you what, your water heater and other appliances will last years longer. All you have to do is contact my friends at Connecticut of Utah, an authorized Connecticut dealer. To learn more, call Connecticut. It's 801-576-8600 or log on to softwaterutah.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair. Save up to 20 cents with Dino Pay. And here's Lynn Thomas.
It's a nice pattern emerging this morning. No delays in the freeways in the Salt Lake Valley. I-15, the Belt Route's also smooth sailing at this point in Davis and Weber counties. Utah County, northbound slowing in Orem, University Parkway to 8th South with a crash in the mix there. Don't miss the amazing Utah Auto Expo, January 12th through the 15th at the Mountain America Exposition Center. See the newest cars, trucks, electric vehicles, all in a non-selling environment. AutoExpoUtah.com. Len Thomas, the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, dry and cold through the rest of the day. Then a cold front brings in more snow tomorrow. Additional snow expected Wednesday and through the rest of the week. And right now, we're at 25 degrees under sunny skies. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. America's top political story. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
It's Iowa. It is Iowa in 7 days from now. Nikki Haley, Republican presidential candidate, starting to kind of nip at the heels of former President Trump. I think she's in a place a lot of people would have never have guessed this. In some state, particularly New Hampshire, she's looking really good in New Hampshire, which comes after Iowa. She's trailing behind President Trump by, I think, it's like there's 4 points now that separate them in the polls.
What is so amazing to me is we've seen polls around the country, and Trump has been up 30, 40, 50 points in some cases. Well, in Iowa and New Hampshire specifically, we're focusing on those because that's where in the next week or two, where the caucuses are happening, Trump is only at 37%. So if Haley's at 33%, Trump's at 37%, it's not this insurmountable lead that we've always thought that, and Trump has dominated for so long. And so if one of these candidates are able to upend and upset Trump or keep it even close,
you need the momentum. You got to get the momentum.
There might be a chance.
Yeah. She's gone through most of this campaign so far without a huge issue or large controversy.
Yeah.
Boy, man, though, she blew it. She blew it when she was asked a question a couple of weeks ago about the Civil War. And the answer was obvious. Slavery. That's what started the Civil War. Right, but she overthought it, and she got herself into just a word salad.
The New Hampshire town hall attendee's question was direct.
What was the cause of the United States Civil War?
But a response that focused on government and personal freedoms caused quite a stir.
The freedoms and what people could and couldn't do.
Prompting the questioner to spit back.
It's astonishing to me that you answer that question without mentioning the word slavery.
The exchange went viral and prompting President Joe Biden to respond on X with 4 words, quote, "It was about slavery."
Since then, Nikki Haley has apologized. She said, she should have said slavery. She kind of defended it, saying, well, I just assumed that was a given. I thought everyone knew that, but I should have said it.
Yeah, she should have said it. Ali Isom ran for the U.S. Senate against Senator Mike Lee, and we're so grateful to have you on the air with us, Ali. Good morning. Is Ali with us? We got her patched in. Hi, Ali. I think we just had to get the board working okay, and I think we got everything figured out back there. So good to have you with us.
Good morning.
Good morning. Your thoughts on Nikki Haley?
I sure like her. I think she's a great viable alternative to the politics we've experienced in the past few years in this nation. And for me, I think she represents a new generation of leadership and a new kind of leader that this country is desperately in need of.
So often when a candidate starts doing well, the temperature of the room turns up. Everyone starts focusing and needling, and even what caused the Civil War question, a little bit of a loaded question, Is she well equipped to deal with this intensity, or are these little cracks that we're seeing? Is this just an indication of what's to come?
Oh, let's be real. This is one episode out of the thousands that she's been scrutinized for, and not everyone's going to be on their A game 1,000% of the time. And granted, she could have handled it better and more differently, but I point to all the other times when she's done an extraordinary job, I think, where she's proven she's uniquely qualified and she absolutely has that leadership temperament that our nation is in need of. We cannot afford to sleepwalk back to 2020. We have to look forward and say we're facing a global scenario that requires a discipline of leadership, a focus, a principle. And, as governor, she was known for creating jobs and cutting taxes and regulation, and she prioritized small business, which I really like. In the UN, she helped clean up the UN, and she put our enemies on notice and backed up our allies. Those things matter to me. So I see those as huge qualifications. And then I look at her service as governor and the time when she's hands-on and on the ground, and what was she doing there? She was measured and wise and brought people together. And especially for me, how people act in the face of crisis or tragedy speaks volumes. And they had shootings and hurricane and ice storms and floods, and she was this steady leader who put her arm around people and listened to them and showed compassion, and then made the calls when they needed to be made about how she could help and deploy resources and how does the state respond. So in so many ways, I think she's already been tested and proven. And I sure like what she brings to the race in terms of qualifications and temperament.
Allie Isom on the line with us live right now. You may remember she ran for U.S. Senate against Mike Lee. Asked her to weigh in on Nikki Haley as we walk up to the Iowa caucus next Monday. In the latest town halls on CNN, Allie, I thought Governor DeSantis probably did the best job I've ever seen him done in front of the TV cameras and on stage, and he was pretty critical of former President Trump, more critical than I'd really ever seen him in the past. Nikki Haley, a bit more measured. Let's listen.
I personally think President Trump was the right president at the right time. I agree with a lot of his policies. But the reality is, rightly or wrongly, chaos follows him.
Do you think she needs to start coming out stronger against Trump?
I think actually what she's doing there is demonstrating the measured tone and substance that we need in the president of this nation. We need somebody who is intentional and focused and looking forward, which I think she's doing. I think she's making the point that it's time to move past the fear and the chaos. And, look, DeSantis has had his chance. He hasn't gained momentum. It's trailing off, which is why he's suddenly, grasping at straws and striking out. And you attack when you're behind. And I think Haley is showing that she has the substance and people are getting on board in time for Iowa. And like you mentioned before, in New Hampshire, a year ago today, she was at 0, and now she's within striking distance. And that matters. It's all about timing and momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I think finally Republicans are looking at a truly viable option. And we've seen in polls after poll after poll that if she were to go against Joe Biden, she wins nearly by double digits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you just take everybody else out of that equation and you put her head to head with President Biden, she wins hands down.
Yeah, Allie Isom, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show, Allie. Look forward to talking to you more in the near future as we walk up to Iowa, New Hampshire. I mean, here we are, finally, 2024. In just a few short months, in a few short 11 months, we'll know who is the next president of the United States. Tomorrow, the last day to switch your political party affiliation in Utah. You're like, wait a minute, I just celebrated Christmas and New Year's. What do you mean? Now I got to deal with this? We've got the details next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave and Debbie go out of their way to make sure you hear all sides of a story.
They're working the phones to get several viewpoints on for you.
Hi, it's Tim and Amanda. We get you the full story, too.
We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
When's the best time to plant a tree? It was 20 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree? It's now. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I remember years ago being sent home from elementary school with a small tree in a styrofoam cup. I know some of you can relate. If that was planted, it's now bigger than you are. Your finances are the same way. The best time to get started, or the best time to get a second opinion, is now. And with time and patience, imagine how big your financial tree could be. 20 years ago, if you invested $1,000 in Apple stock, it could be worth over $500,000 today. That is a big tree. Do that for you and do that for someone you love. Call Trajan Wealth today and help us help you plant that financial tree. Call 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600. Or visit TrajanWealth.com.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? maybe an outdated news article, or sensitive personal information about your family. Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
The new year is here, and it's time to take advantage of Zero Res's best deal of the year. Carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, basically every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. Don't DIY it. Call Zero Res because you know it's safe and effective. Have you even Googled the company? They have a 4.8 rating on Google with over 3,300 reviews. The Zero Res Gotta Love It guarantee makes it easy to get what you pay for. Yeah, Zero Res absolutely stands behind every cleaning. Go ahead and get clean, but don't miss the best deal of the year. Get back to clean and get carpet cleaning for just $25 per room with promo code 25RM and 24% off upholstery cleaning with code SOFA24. Call Zero Res right now, 801-288-9376, or go online at zerores.com/Salt Lake and say you want the station special. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forwards. It spells the same.
The following is a test of the emergency alert system. This is a monthly coordinated test of the broadcast stations and cable systems in your area. Equipment that can quickly warn you during emergencies is being tested. If this had been an actual emergency such as severe weather, earthquake, or evacuation, official messages would have followed the alert tone. This station serves the Utah operational area. This concludes the test of the emergency alert system.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bonas. First, Provo police are skeptical of a woman's claim that she shot her husband in self-defense. Second, more young voters in Utah trending toward the blue side of the political equation. And third, two of Utah's representatives say immigration has to be a top priority as Congress gets back to work after the holidays. Right now, 25 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Utah's top political story. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
You just got the Christmas ornaments put away. You weren't even thinking about this. Tomorrow is the last day to switch your political party affiliation in Utah. If you plan to do that, you have to do it by tomorrow. We're going to go in depth in a matter of moments with KSL 5's Lindsay Aerts.
Switching your party affiliation. I've said this a million times because I love it. I think this is totally what it is. It's shady shenanigans. You switching your party to manipulate the other party that you're... I don't like it. If you want to vote, if you want to be a Republican, be a Republican. If you want to be unaffiliated, if you want to be a Democrat. What I am very, very anti-Democrats trying to manipulate what the Republicans are doing. Just like I'm against Republicans organizing to manipulate what's going on in the Democratic Party.
Speaking of switching, KSL News Radio's Lindsay Aerts, formerly of KSL News Radio, switched over to KSL 5 television, but she's so gracious to join us this morning and walk us through, because you just know so much about this. We decided you're the best person to reach out and give us the details on what we need to know. So good morning, Linz.
Hi, you guys. I miss you. How are you?
We miss you too, but I see you on KSL 5 television a lot. So congrats on your new job as a reporter there. What do we need to know about the party switching deadline?
Yeah, well, listen, put my ugly mug back on radio because it's much easier. But this, let's be honest. But, okay, this party switching deadline, you guys, is looming. It's tomorrow at 5 o'clock, okay? So this applies to anyone who is currently registered with a political party. Now, I'm going to talk about it in terms of the Republicans because to Dave's point, that is what the state legislature was trying to curb when they put this law into effect a couple of years ago. So in a presidential year, which is what 2024 is, this deadline is, for all intents and purposes, coming up this January 9th, right? There's some language in the law about when it'll be different every year, but essentially it'll be very early in the year. So that's what we have this year. In a presidential year, you can't switch parties. So that means if you are a registered Democrat, you cannot switch and become a registered Republican after tomorrow p.m. Likewise, if you're a registered Republican, you cannot switch and become a registered Democrat after 5 p.m. tomorrow. Now, this is significant this year because Utah's Republican Party does a closed primary. And let's be honest that the Republicans are the dominant party here in Utah. And so this year in particular, where the Republican Party has chosen not to do a primary election to elect the president. Now, we're doing a primary election when it comes to the governor, all our other state races in Utah. That will be in June. However, for the presidential primary for Republicans, that they're not holding a primary, they're holding a caucus instead on March 5th. And so if you are not a registered Republican, you cannot participate in said caucus. I should say if you're not a registered Republican, you can't participate in the caucus. You can affiliate if you are unaffiliated. So it won't affect those who are unaffiliated, but it does affect those who are registered with a different party right now. And that can be any party in the state. There are more than just Republicans and Democrats. But it's significant because if you want to vote for the Republican nominee for president, you have to be a registered Republican. You will not get a ballot automatically mailed to you this March for the Republican nomination for president because they're holding a caucus. You will have to go to your caucus night, show up, and cast a vote in what they're calling the presidential preference poll.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time away from your TV schedule. We miss you, Lindsay. Thanks, though, for still playing with your old friends.
Thanks, Linz. Let's get over to Lanny Chapman. She's a Salt Lake County clerk. She's live on the line, following up on what Lindsay the information Lindsay just shared with us. Lanny, I'm just curious, if somebody does want to swap party affiliation before tomorrow at 5 p.m., do they have to show up in person at a county clerk's office, or could they do this online? Give us those details.
Yeah, so they could do either way. On my website, I have at slco.vote. On my spotlight, I have a party affiliation link. You can download that form to let me know which party you would like to be affiliated with. Sign it and email it back to me. You can take a picture of it and text it back to us, however you want to get it. Or if you're out and about, you are always welcome to come down to my office and fill out a form in person, whatever's easier. But like Lindsay said, and you guys have stated, for those that are already affiliated with a party, Democrat, Green Party, No Labels Party, the list goes on and on, to affiliate, to change that affiliation, the deadline is tomorrow at 5 p.m.
Lanny, can you walk me through a little bit? Say I am a registered Republican, but I don't want to participate in that, and maybe I want to go, and vote with the Democrats. Can I still do that if I'm a registered Republican?
We have some really interesting laws here in the state, and I'm not talking about our state laws. I'm talking about the party laws. The Democratic Party is an open party, meaning that anybody can request a ballot for their primary and vote in it. The Republican, like Lindsay stated, is a closed party, meaning only people that are affiliated with that party get an invite to come participate.
An affiliation has to be a formal affiliation through the county clerk. It can't be like, hey, I'm showing up at the door here and I want to be let into the neighborhood caucus. You have to actually be on a roll somewhere showing that you're Republican and you've registered as such, right?
Yeah, you have to be on the rolls. And again, like Lindsay stated, if you're unaffiliated, currently unaffiliated, tomorrow's deadline does not apply to you. You can still affiliate up through election day.
Okay. So if you're an unaffiliated voter, then you can make this decision up until, November, first week of November.
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, remember, November, everybody gets the same ballot. We're all going to be able to vote for whomever we want.
Oh, that's
this
true.
Only
You want to do before?
applies
Yeah.
to the primary.
Right,
so
the primary.
the
Okay.
presidential
Good point.
primary in March, and then the June primary later this year.
How common is the old switcheroo?
So, Dave, you would think it'd be really common. Here in Salt Lake County, we're not seeing anything showing that people are switching back and forth.
I think, I don't know. You're the expert on this. I just think it's just not as big of a deal as all of these laws and rules make it out to be, Lanny. But I mean, you've been doing this for a very long time. Maybe this was a problem in the past, if you even want to call it a problem.
Yeah, it may have been, but I'm not seeing significant upticks in people switching back and forth in any given year.
Oh, we appreciate you joining us. Lanny Chapman, the Salt Lake County Clerk. And in part, Debbie, I think the upside to registering as a Republican is that you can vote, with the Republicans if you want. If you want to vote for the Democrats or the Libertarian or no labels or whatever, you can make that decision. But by registering as a Republican, that just opens up another door. Even if you don't consider yourself a Republican, that it at least gives you all the options.
I just want to know what's going on in those caucus meetings. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who's bringing the frog-eyed salad to that? What kind of snacks will there be? Next, I think Congress has avoided a shutdown. Don't quote me on that, because Boyd's coming in with the details in just a few minutes.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour. A new study out of BYU is showing that Utah's becoming more politically blue. KSL News Radio's Michael Commit reports.
Utah's long been a conservative state, and the study says voters will still vote Republican for a while. However, many young Utahns have fallen out with Trump-era conservatism, including many members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
And northern and southern Utah are changing the most. Central Utah remains strongly conservative. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin has been on the defensive over the Pentagon's failure to inform the White House for days that he'd been in the hospital. But during a press availability aboard Air Force One, White House National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby said Austin's job is not in jeopardy.
There is no plans for anything other than for Secretary Austin to stay in the job and continuing the leadership that he's been demonstrating.
President Biden was reportedly unhappy that the White House hadn't been told this had happened. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day, but just 9 points right now. The NASDAQ, on the other hand, is up 218. And our KSL weather looks like a sunny day will be followed by more snow. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
It's a priority for us at this station to bring you all sides of a story and to talk about the news fairly, completely.
Get all the facts and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
The Angie's List you know and trust is now Angie, and we're so much more than just a list. We still connect you with top local pros and show you ratings and reviews, but now we also let you compare upfront prices on hundreds of projects and book a service instantly. We can even handle the rest of your project from start to finish. So remember, Angie's List is now Angie, and we're here to get your job done right. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Everybody has their own personal reason for why they come to Soda Weight Loss, why they decide they want to lose the weight finally. I mean, my decision was, if I don't lose the weight now, I'm afraid I'm just going to give up and settle for being this unhealthy weight for the rest of my life. But Jim came to it for a different reason.
My decision was personal from the standpoint of, I have the family history of family members being obese, and I did not want that. And I figured now would be a good time that I could take control of something.
Take control of something.
Yeah, and let me tell you why it's also a good time to do it right now, because you could win a full year of Soda's amazing program and a $2,000 wardrobe makeover in Soda's Shape Up Showdown. Here's all you have to do. Just email shapeup@sodaweightloss.com.
SodaWeightLoss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
You know what they say, Amanda? Soda Weight Loss is state of the
art.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Up to a 30% upfront bonus and 12% per year guaranteed growth for retirement. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and these are the highest guarantees with annuities I have seen in my life. When interest rates are this high, there are silver linings, and annuity guarantees are one of them. Up to a 30% bonus upfront for retirement income. On $100,000, that's up to $42,000 guaranteed in the first year. And it's because of the economy and its high interest rates. Don't let anyone, especially another financial advisor, tell you it's not true. Up to 30% upfront just for opening an account, and up to 12% per year guaranteed income growth. Don't miss out. This won't last forever. If you have an old 401k, get up to 30% upfront and 12% guaranteed growth for income today. Call 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair. Save up to 20 cents with DinoPay. Here's Len Thomas.
As the sun warms up, so are the freeways. I-15 seeing a delay free ride right now on I-15 in Davis County, though. A crash in Layton is northbound Main Street at Hillfield Drive with a right lane closed. And Utah County, a crash in Provo, northbound Center Street at 500 West. It's 2024, time to get zero resified with Zero Res. This month, get one room of carpet cleaned starting at $25 per room and promo code 25RM. Book today at zerores.com/Salt Lake. I'm Len Thomas in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, dry and cold through the rest of the day. A cold front will bring more snow tomorrow, with additional snow expected on Wednesday and through the rest of the week. Right now, 25 degrees and sunny. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Dave and Dujanovic have inside sources.
Well, it sounds like Congress may have avoided a shutdown, but Boyd is here to set us straight one way or the other on the budget deal that may be happening. You know, Representative John Curtis was just in studio with us last week. He was kicking off his campaign for the U.S. Senate. We did ask him to talk about the amount of work that needed to be done to get a new deal done for the new year.
The degree of difficulty is incredibly high. What we're walking into is just a booby trap. It's a bad situation that we've created for ourselves. We need to go back there and figure out how we get this budget done, how we cut spending, how we deal with the border issues, how we deal with the Ukraine and Israel issues. That has to be done. The American people deserve that. And so it's going to be all hands on deck as soon as we go back. And I'm as nervous as you are. I think you're right to be skeptical and nervous. We haven't proven that we can actually do a lot of work, but a lot has to be done, and the stakes are very high.
Joining us right now is Boyd Matheson. And Boyd, there's two frustrations as we were talking to Representative Curtis. Number one, there's just the general frustration about being able to create some sort of a budget. But the second layer of frustration I heard from Representative Curtis was the House is a mess. And it until we get our house literally and figuratively in order, it's just who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, and there's a lot up in the air. There's some encouraging news happened over the weekend. You had the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and the Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, got together, and they came to a top-line number. So this is not the budget. This is not the bills. This is just the top-line number of how much we're going to spend. It's $1.66 trillion. This is based on an agreement they made a little over a year ago when they were doing the debt ceiling increase. So this was negotiated about a year and a half ago. So that's the top line number. There's a lot of squawking and chattering going on about what that number is. Are there enough cuts? There are a few cuts in there that are interesting. They cut about $6 billion out of the IRS. There's about $16 billion total in cuts there. Not nearly what the conservatives in the House wanted to get to, but it's a starting number. Now, the test, and this is where Representative Curtis' comments come in, now you have to take those top-line numbers, and then it becomes a line-by-line piece of legislative text. So this is where you actually put the numbers, but this is the total number we have, and here's what it's going to actually go to. So that's the debate that will begin today and tomorrow, really back in Washington, D.C.
Does it look like we're going to avert a shutdown?
Yeah, I'm not overly concerned about that. We've seen these fake fights and false choices for so long. The worst case will be some sort of continuing resolution. Everyone will squawk and chatter about that as well. But I think the fact that they have a number to go from is a good starting point. That took some negotiating. The other thing we're hearing a lot about in terms of the shutdown potential you're alluding to, Debbie, is dealing with the border. And a lot of Republicans in the House are saying, hey, if we don't do some things about our own national security, we shouldn't be funding anything else. And so there is a debate about that. There's also some interesting things on the horizon there. You've got a bipartisan group in the Senate that has some legislative text that actually deals with border security and immigration in a pretty significant way. So that's going to be an interesting thing. So it could take that argument out in terms of a shutdown showdown.
Do you think this is also about timing with that bipartisan group in the Senate? Like, for example, do they have to get this done with the border before they decide on a budget? Or do you think the House would be willing, or members of the House that are kind of loud when it comes to these negotiations would be willing to say, okay, if you're over there in a committee room or in the offices working day in and day out to come up with some sort of border security policies and budget, we'll be willing to pass this overall budget, get this through, avert a shutdown, and then come back to us within a few weeks. I mean, what does that look like, Boyd?
Yeah, I think so. So what I'm hearing from my sources in D.C. is that the immigration and border security bill will be released this week.
Soon. Okay,
yeah,
good.
So it'll be done this week coming out of the Senate. So this is Senator Langford, Republican, Kirsten Sinema, independent from Arizona, and then Chris Murphy, a Democrat. They've come together on this. And so I think they're going to release that bill text tomorrow, maybe on Wednesday. The House comes back again tomorrow. They'll start with the appropriations process for that, again, top-line number, about $1.66 trillion. And so you'll see the haggling, but we at least have some stakes in the ground that allow us to have the conversation to move forward. And remember, in terms of shutdown, you got about 20% of the budget that's got to be done by the 19th of January. Right. And the rest of it's got to be done by February 2nd. Ironically, that's Groundhog Day because we have seen this movie before. Because we are still
because it
where
is Groundhog
we are.
Day.
It is Groundhog
well,
Day.
I thought House Speaker Mike Johnson was wise to lead at least maybe you'll say, well, it wasn't his idea, it was somebody else's idea, but to kind of bifurcate the budget into separate pieces, because so often we're talking about a closure. It's everybody. The government's shutting down across the board because everything comes due all at once. And in this case, he separated these pieces and parts out so we didn't have a total government shutdown all at once, or at least not facing a total shutdown all at once.
If it did nothing else, it changed the conversation, which I applaud Speaker Johnson for. It's like, we're not going to just do business as usual. We could have had the typical right before Christmas showdown and a big bill passed, and we would have moved on. So he's at least saying, I'm going to change the dynamic of this conversation, which I think is an important thing, is we've got to start getting it shifted. The real irony is, at this point, right now, we actually should be working on next year's budget, which will be due in September. so
Wait,
the sad thing,
September again, like every other year?
It's every year. Amazing. September 30th comes every year, Dave. Every single year it comes. And so literally we're a year behind in terms of the work that Congress is supposed to do. And this is one of the few jobs Congress has to do every year. It's one of the very few things. And the fact that we're a year behind already and doing this in an election year to boot really shows how broken it is. But there are some encouraging signs. The fact that they have a top-line number that both Democrats and Republicans, House and Senate, say, okay, we can at least negotiate from that space. Let's start writing the bills. So that will be the work of this week, and we'll see how that plays out.
Does that border bill have anything that intrigues you? Is there a solution there that you think people can rally around?
I think there's something in there for everyone. I think there are some things in there dealing with the funding for security at the border. There are things dealing with the asylum process.
Good.
There's also things to accelerate in terms of some of those that are clearly thugs or bad guys, that we don't just release them. We have over 3 million that have been released with some future date that they're supposed to appear. And so it has some mechanisms in there to start fixing that part of the system. So there are some things in there that I think are quite good in terms of beginning the conversation when it comes to border and immigration. And again, everybody agrees. It's whether or not there's the political will to execute it will be the test.
Boyd Matheson, as always, thank you so much for your insights. Look forward to your show today at 1 o'clock on Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson right here on KSL News Radio, Monday through Friday. Let us know when that budget bill is released, or the border bill is released, Boyd, and hopefully it breaks on our show. So you can run in here and dissect it.
It always breaks on Boyd's.
It always breaks on Boyd's. That's not fair. I want it to break on our show. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that throughout the week with the help of Boyd and our team of reporters and producers. Did you know about this, Dave? Park City, city council has approved $1 million to help families pay for daycare.
$1 million?
Yeah. The city itself.
How far will that stretch?
We're going to find out when the mayor calls the show next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Current events can have a lot of moving parts. Our job is to make it easy to keep up.
You're part of a bigger world, so spend 15 or 20 minutes here and be part of it.
Join us weekday mornings between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
8 days until Utah lawmakers are back on the Hill.
Making decisions that affect you.
Fewer taxes taken out of paychecks.
Tax credits for families,
affordable housing,
and school funding.
This week, KSL tells you everything you need to know about the upcoming session. Wednesday, school safety and curriculum. Thursday, AI and technology. Friday, anything affecting taxes and your money. Listen this week, Eye on the Hill 2024
on KSL News Radio.
Start the new year on the right note. Join the Utah Symphony January 4th through 6th for a program featuring the work Beethoven himself considered one of his best. Experience world-class musicians performing his exhilarating 7th Symphony, along with works by Mozart and more. Plus, before the performance, everyone, even adults, can try a musical instrument at our instrument petting zoo in the lobby. Tickets start at $21. Get yours at utahsymphony.org. Listen to the greatest classical hits from the 1700s to today. The Utah Symphony's Masterworks concerts offer elegant and entertaining evenings at Marisa Brovnal Hall in the heart of Salt Lake City, featuring timeless masterpieces by Beethoven, Dvorak, and Mozart, and even world premieres from modern composers. Tickets start as low as $21. Get yours at utahsymphony.org.
Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. Listen, we're fiduciaries. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. Now, imagine how that would be if you could actually retire 3 to 5 years sooner than your plan was. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan, taking into consideration any rental properties that you have, any pension income that you have, your Social Security. Listen, we put that all together for you in writing. It will allow us to build your income based on inflation. You know, inflation has been rapidly rising. You and I both need a plan that whatever we start out our income at, in 5 or 10 years, we're going to need 40% more income. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
When you choose Performance Automotive in Bountiful, you're choosing selection, convenience, and exceptional service. 4 locations: Performance Ford Lincoln, Performance Honda, Performance Toyota, and Ford Truck Country. All dedicated to delivering you the best auto experience anywhere. Looking for your first car? Maybe you want rugged power or the stylish ride of your dreams. New or used. See it all at PerformanceBountiful.com. PerformanceBountiful.com.
Denise has been playing jazz for 40 years. Last concert, one of the musicians fell sick with RSV. Respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems. This time, she's choosing to help protect herself with Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo. Abrysvo is a vaccine for the prevention of lower respiratory tract disease caused by respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, in adults 60 years of age and older. Abrysvo is not for everyone and may not protect all who receive the vaccine. Don't get Abrysvo if you've had a severe allergic reaction to its ingredients. People with a weakened immune system may have a decreased response to Abrysvo. The most common side effects are tiredness, headache, pain at the injection site, and muscle pain. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit abrysvo.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, young Utahns are leaning liberal, according to a new survey out of BYU. Second, signing a statement on diversity, equity, and inclusion will no longer be part of the job application process at the University of Utah. And third, it looks like the Secretary of Defense will keep his job, even though he went to the hospital without telling the president. Right now, 25 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Was surprised to see this. I was also glad to see this. This is just a new way of helping families. The city of Park City offering financial help to cover childcare costs. It's a brand new program. It started this month, and we're going to speak to the mayor of Park City in just a moment about it.
I'm not entirely certain what you're saying, Debbie. This sounds like Christmas, and Santa Claus is real, obviously. But who is offering this? Is this coming through the city itself, or is this coming through the school district?
Yeah, it says it. So what I'm reading is the city council allocated $1 million to cover up to $1,700 per month for each child up to kindergarten age.
$1,700 a month per child?
Mayor, I think we need you.
I think so too.
Are any of these numbers right?
Nan Worrell's, is it Worrell? Did I say that right, Mayor?
Sure, close enough. That's it.
Okay. So glad to have you on, Mayor of Park City. I don't think you've been on with our show before, so welcome.
I haven't. I have not. Thank you.
Okay, you need to walk us through how this $1 million fund works and who qualifies, because, we don't want to confuse this issue.
Well, it is confusing. And, it all started when we had so many residents come to the Park City Council meeting and say, we are in a real bind. We're going to have to drop out of the workforce. Childcare is so expensive. And it's not just here in Park City. It's nationwide. There's a crisis with childcare and people being able to afford it. So our council debated and decided that they would set aside $1 million in this fiscal year's budget to do a pilot program on doing some funding with child care. When the CARES money ran out, a lot of our local providers had real difficulty keeping their rates low. So we have partnered with Upwards, which is a company out of California, to administer the program. The city certainly isn't the best one to ask people to bring their financial information in and share all that stuff with. So Upwards has a track record nationwide of administering these type of programs, and so we're really thankful to have them join us and to make sure that the money gets where it's supposed to be. We want our families that live within our city limits to be able to have affordable, quality child care. And so there are subsidies depending on income, and we want our families to pay more than 10%, no more than 10% of their household income for child care. If you look at the numbers, people generally use the 30% of your income should go towards your housing. If we've got another 10% towards child care, it doesn't leave a lot of leeway for every other expense that families are going to have.
How many people do you anticipate this helping?
That's a great question, and we really don't know. We certainly have some anecdotal evidence, and that's why we wanted to do this as a pilot to see, how many people actually are eligible for this. And the payments go directly to the child care provider. They don't go to the family. One of the concerns that I have and that our council has is, how is this going to build more capacity? Because people are on waiting lists for a long period of time for child care. And how is this going to be sustained? And so that's a big focus that the council is looking at now, is how do we use this program as a way to build capacity? And we think that there's several in-home child care providers that are doing a great job that just haven't gone through the licensing. And so those in-home child care providers are eligible for this as well, as long as they, get the appropriate license from the state of Utah.
Where will this $1 million come from, Park City? Is this coming from the general fund? Do you have a surplus?
No, it's coming from our general fund.
Will this require some sort of increase in property taxes to pay for this?
No, it will not.
So I know we don't know yet how many families could potentially be impacted by this, but we do know how much they could be subsidized, correct?
Correct. So there's something called the Department of Workforce Services that for certain financial eligible families, there's that subsidy as well. So we want our families to be able to apply for that and then apply that towards their child care bill, and then the city will come in and help them. Again, we look at the household income and make sure that more than 10% of their household income is going towards child care.
We're speaking with Park City Mayor Nan Worrell, and this is a fascinating program, a pilot program that would help subsidize child care. They've set aside $1 million in the city council to help contribute to this. And have you had discussions with any other cities? Is there a model that you're working from of other places that have done this, or are you truly the trailblazer?
We are the trailblazer here in Utah, and it's kind of an interesting place to be, where that's why we are calling it a pilot program, because we truly don't know what to expect. Our priority is our residents. We want our families to be able to go to work in the morning with the comfort that their child is in a safe, quality child care situation. I can't imagine as a parent going to work in the morning and worrying about the safety of my child while I'm there.
Yeah. So how does this work on the child care providers? And not saying anybody's going to do this, but if they, some child care providers see a city subsidizing, child care to the tune of maybe $1,000 or $1,700 a month, is there a potential that they could continue to raise their rates? And will the city have any kind of control over that, or discussions with these child care providers to make sure there is some sort of a set rate, or things aren't going out of control with what the rates are?
I think that's certainly something that we'll be watching as the program goes on. Again, the payments go directly to the provider, so we'll be watching, what are they charging for tuition? Is it really necessary that they raise their rates to the point that they have? We just want our families to be able to be in our workforce so that they can and have safe childcare at the same time.
Oh, how much is it generally, do you know, for childcare up in the Park City area, Mayor?
It depends on the age of the child. And so, like, infants are the most expensive. And so we have kind of a little subsidy bonus for children under 3 because they're the hardest to find care for. And that's because of the ratio required by state licensing. You know, it takes more people to take care of babies than it does, say, a 4-year-olds or 5-year-olds.
Definitely. And do we have an idea of who qualifies, what those income ranges are?
Sure. So with, Park City's area median income is high. And so our families can make up to $148,000 for a family of 4 to be able to qualify.
Mayor, thank you so much for joining us. Mayor Nan Worrell. Did I say that right this time?
Yeah, you did it.
I'm trying.
All right.
I'm doing.
No,
I try to do better every day. Thanks, Mayor, so much. Mayor of Park City joining us live on the line to walk us through the details of this new program just launched this month to help subsidize families who need childcare.
Incredible. When we think of Park City, obviously it's the wealthiest community in Utah. That's where the highest median income is. But for a family of 4, that they could make up to almost $150,000 a year and still qualify for some of these subsidies, I think that opens up some incredible opportunities and will help a ton of families.
So I'm just looking at the Economic Policy Institute posted a breakdown about childcare costs in Utah, and it's about $10,000 a year annual, depending on how old the child is. But it's a lot less expensive than what I'm seeing in other states, like Massachusetts is double that, California is almost double that. What are your thoughts on subsidizing childcare?
I think anytime the government is involved in subsidizing, providing some of these things, it's a little bit of a sticky situation. Now, they are not managing it directly. It sounds like they've hired professionals, a private firm to kind of be able to handle this specifically. I would like to see it more on from the private sector, private businesses offering these things as benefits.
Oh, it's like opening up a daycare or providing a subsidy or a stipend to their employees who need childcare.
Yeah, anytime it's generated from the public sector versus the city. Now, this is government that is subsidizing childcare. Now, this isn't that far removed from what President Biden wanted to do with the Build Back Better plan, where he would send government subsidies or provide money for daycare. This is on a much more local level. This impacts the city, and typically cities making decisions, what's right for their community, I'm pretty supportive of. It will be very, very interesting to see how successful this is, or how quickly and how far that $1 million can really, how many families it will affect.
Next, let's talk about Code Blue Alert. We are under one in 20 counties, out of 29 counties across Utah right now under a Code Blue Alert. It has to do with the freezing cold temperatures that we're experiencing out there and the fact that we're in the teens at some point during most of the week. We were talking about this earlier and what Code Blue Alert is, making sure that more space is available to people experiencing homelessness, not only in shelters, but also in government buildings. I got a text from a lawmaker, and he said, I can tell you why this Code Blue was implemented, Deb. And I said, great. And it is a fascinating story. I read it in his text. He's going to call us next and explain how Code Blue Alerts got started in Utah.
It's 11:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour. Frigid temperatures prompted Code Blue Alerts across Utah overnight. KSL TV's Brianna Chavez reports on how shelters are trying to keep people indoors.
Carl Moore is with the Second and Second Coalition, a group focused on helping people get out of the cold. The group, which relies solely on volunteers, operates out of the First United Methodist Church in downtown Salt Lake on nights when the temperatures drop.
Last night, I think there was like 20 to 30 people that couldn't get in.
Moore is encouraging others to volunteer. You can learn how you can help on KSL TV's website. The University of Utah says it will no longer use diversity, equity, and inclusion statements when hiring new employees. Announcing that decision, University President Taylor Randall cited guidance from the Utah State Board of Higher Education and statements made by elected officials, including Governor Spencer Cox.
I think that is awful. I think it's, I mean, bordering on evil that we're forcing people into a political framework before they can even apply for a job.
Governor Cox also said no Utah school will have these DEI statements after this coming legislative session. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. United and Alaska Airlines are leading the world in canceled flights today as they deal with mandatory inspections of their Boeing 737 MAX 9s. That's after a door plug flew off an Alaska Airlines MAX 9 on Friday evening. ABC's Alex Stone reports.
All Boeing 737 MAX 9 aircraft in the U.S. are now grounded. United and Alaska Airlines are the U.S. carriers that fly them, and today the FAA has given them steps that they will have to take to inspect their planes and to get them approved to fly again. The FAA saying airlines will have to inspect left and right cabin door plugs, door components, and fasteners. Each inspection will take hours to do, but airlines are now being given the green light to do them to get the planes back into service. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day right now, 25 points. The NASDAQ, on the other hand, is substantially up 224 points at this hour. And our KSL weather, looks like we've got snow on and off all week long. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:33.
Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Introducing Yes Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. We're bringing all of Utah's favorite HVAC, plumbing, and electrical brands under one roof. Get your home's electrical system running in peak condition by scheduling a $79 whole home electric inspection with the professionals at Yes Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric today. The electrical experts at Yes are ready to help identify unsafe conditions and possibly prevent expensive repairs in the future. Proudly serving Utah for more than 45 years. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-859-3220. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 to 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-859-3220. That's 800-859-3220 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-859-3220. 800-859-3220.
Are you one of those people?
Those people.
You know, self-driven, confident, love sales and understanding marketing. Would you like to work with a variety of businesses, large and small, helping them succeed? Do you want to actually make the kind of money you know you should make? Are you looking for a career with an opportunity to grow?
Well, we're looking for those people.
Bonneville Salt Lake Media Group is looking for account executives from a variety of backgrounds and experience levels to connect with high potential business opportunities for digital marketing. KSL Podcasts, KSL News Radio, 103.5 The Era, FM 100.3, and 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. It's advertising sales that will change your world. Not to mention the world-class list of benefits we're famous for. You'll work in person and remotely in a dynamic team culture with opportunities to reach audiences both locally and globally. If this is the kind of work that interests you, text careers to 57500. That's careers to 57500. Text careers to 57500.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair. Save up to 20 cents with Dino Pay. And here's Len Thomas.
I-15 sailing along nicely now in Utah County, Salt Lake Valley, and up north in Weber and Davis counties. I-80, no delays in either direction between Evanston and the Salt Lake Valley, also from Great Salt Lake in the West Desert to the airport. Don't miss the amazing Utah Auto Expo, January 12th through the 15th at the Mountain America Exposition Center. See the newest cars, trucks, electric vehicles, all in a non-selling environment. AutoExpoUtah.com. I'm Len Thomas in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, dry and cold through the rest of the day. Cold front brings more snow tomorrow, with additional snow expected Wednesday and through the rest of the week. And right now we're 27 degrees. It's sunny. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
Well, as Dan just reported from the newsroom, it is frigid out there. I don't think it'll crack 30 degrees along the Wasatch Front over the next couple of days. We have 20 out of 29 counties in Utah now in what's called a code blue alert. It's a new alert. It's set by the legislature. It's taken effect over the next couple of days because the temperatures, when they drop into the mid-teens, it opens up the door for the state to sound this code blue alert. And we learned earlier in the show today what it's about. One thing it's about is it means that homeless shelters can automatically increase their capacity without begging city officials to sign off on some sort of occupancy permit or something like that by 35%. It means that government buildings can automatically fling open the doors to those experiencing homelessness just to get them out of these freezing temperatures.
We spoke to Wendy Garvin of Unsheltered Utah, who has been an advocate and helps serve the homeless. And she says that they do use different buildings to help keep people warm.
We can go inside buildings. We're using a church, the First United Methodist Church on 2nd South and 2nd East, and they have a kitchen, so we're able to cook food. We can get 85 people inside. The most we could get into that warming tent was 45. And there's just, everything that's better about a building. There's bathrooms, there's heat, there's places to clean up, and places for us to store our equipment.
When we were talking to Wendy earlier in the show, I got a text from one of my favorite people in Utah, Steve Elison. He's a representative up on Utah's Capitol Hill. You've put up with me a lot over the years. I've told stories, and you've been so willing to do interviews about legislation that you sponsor, Steve. And this is this is really, really humane. And you texted me and said, hey, there's a story behind this, and you're the one on Capitol Hill that really pushed for this, and there's a specific reason why it was brought to your attention.
Oh, yeah. So thanks, Debbie. So, of course, I was listening to KSL radio on my way to the Capitol this morning, where I was going to speak to a group of about 100 interns that are just getting ready to start for the coming legislative session. And I was supposed to talk about where I get ideas from bills. And I told them, I said, I was just listening to KSL radio, and they were talking about Code Blue. And I said, interestingly, Code Blue was brought to me actually by two people, Wendy Garvin, who you spoke to earlier, and an intern of mine, Stephanie Amat, who had previously been homeless. And so I told the interns, I said, hey, the very important matter of public policy that they're discussing on the radio right now was in part brought to me by one of my former interns. So I told them they had a high hurdle that they were going to have to meet to come up with other great ideas like that.
Yeah,
but
that's amazing.
Interesting to note that I think the bill passed unanimously, and it's been a very practical policy that has kept a lot of people out of the cold and probably from freezing to death.
One of the elements that stands out to me is that government buildings can be used. How do you envision that happening?
Well, it's great to see how the nonprofit community and so many volunteers have stepped up to make this available. And I understand that, some of the facilities or even with Code Blue, are filling up due to the temperatures and the demand from unsheltered individuals. But we do have a lot of buildings around the state-owned buildings around Utah, and we just wanted to clarify in the legislation that was an allowable use, and they wouldn't need to, go back to, the legislature for approval to use a building if from a, location and logistical perspective, it made sense. I'm not aware of any state buildings that have been used at this point, but there have been a lot of other locations that have popped up and will probably still pop up during these intense periods of cold.
Well, Representative, I think it's also important to note that homelessness just doesn't happen along the Wasatch Front, where we have access or closer access to homeless shelters or large churches or nonprofit facilities. Code Blue right now is impacting 20 counties, many of them rural counties across Utah, because of the freezing temperatures we're going to be experiencing over the next several days. So if need be, a city government in an emergency, if they have a homeless situation going on that they need to house people, can do this without jumping through a bunch of red tape.
Yes, and I've been to city council meetings where they debate about locating a new shelter in the city, and those are always very contentious discussions. That's where the benefit of Code Blue kicks in without the need to schedule a meeting and hear input. I mean, it's such short duration, and it's such of a acute humanitarian need that pretty much everybody agreed that this is a sensible policy. When I heard you talking earlier and you mentioned 20 counties, including Washington County,
yeah,
that caused me to scratch my head a little bit, because there's really only one county in the state that we grow palm trees. That's Washington County. I'm like, what are those other counties? So I did a little bit of research, and it actually doesn't apply to counties of the 5th and 6th class. And those are very tiny counties like Paiute, Wayne, Beaver. And from the data, I won't say there aren't individuals experiencing homelessness in those counties, but if there are, they are extremely few. And typically, individuals that are homeless will tend to go to larger urban areas where these resources are available.
Good.
How do the homeless learn about which resources are available to them?
That's a great question. From my knowledge, a lot of people that are homeless are pretty tight-knit and kind of help each other out, and word on the street travels very quickly. Now, there are also outreach vans from groups like Volunteers of America, of course, local law enforcement agencies that will be out encountering people experiencing homelessness, and they are often sources of referral, sometimes even rides to either resource centers that are participating in Code Blue and will now have additional space, or to other locations that are offering services during a Code Blue alert.
Representative Steve Ellison, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for the text that you sent me earlier, Representative. I appreciate hearing from you always. I appreciate that you were listening to the show on the way up, of course, the next to the Hill, and we're able to use this as an example of a great work in your intern bringing this issue to you. What a story. Thank you for all the work you're doing to help people across Utah stay safe. Next, our favorite meteorologist, the king of weather, Kevin Eubank, on the line next to talk about what the next several days have in store for the Wasatch Front and beyond.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Here's a trick to podcasting at work and getting all the Utah news you love.
Download the KSL News Radio app.
The podcast for Utah's morning news and Dave and Debbie are right there. Dozens of podcasts a day.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Hi, Doug Wright, and hopefully you're one of the lucky people who got a gift certificate or a gift card for Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. It's time to cash that thing in. You know, my son and I, every year, we have a little contest, who reads the most books, and the stakes are literally steaks. I asked Ian, because he won this year, I said, okay, where do you want to go get your steak? And he goes, come on, Dad, you know where. And of course, it's Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. It is the best steak you are ever going to have, and it's waiting for you at 2 locations, Hotel Park City and downtown Salt Lake City. Think of all the great things that are going on in downtown Salt Lake City right now. Make dinner at Ruth's Chris part of your evening. And then, of course, up in the mountains right now, it's time to go skiing. And the perfect place for après ski, enjoying that amazing meal, is right there at Hotel Park City. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. The best steak you have ever had is waiting for you at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
The new year is here, and it's time to take advantage of Zero Res's best deal of the year. Carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, basically every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. Don't DIY it. Call Zero Res because you know it's safe and effective. Have you even Googled the company? They have a 4.8 rating on Google with over 3,300 reviews. The Zero Res Gotta Love It guarantee makes it easy to get what you pay for. Yeah, Zero Res absolutely stands behind every cleaning. Go ahead and get clean, but don't miss the best deal of the year. Get back to clean and get carpet cleaning for just $25 per room with promo code 25RM and 24% off upholstery cleaning with code SOFA24. Call Zero Res right now, 801-288-9376, or go online at zerores.com/Salt Lake and say you want the station special. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forwards. It spells the same.
If you've ever experienced running out of hot water before your shower was done, or hard water spots on dishes and fixtures, I've got a deal you might be interested in. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and you probably already know that a tankless water heater and a water softener solve both issues. If you've ever thought about looking into getting a tankless water heater, here's the deal I was talking about. Through the end of February, we're including a free water softener with every new tankless water heater we install. The best part of this deal might be that you never have to worry about being the last one to the shower again, or that you don't have to waste the money keeping 40 to 50 gallons of water hot 24/7. To take advantage of this deal, call Any Hour Services before the end of February. The visit's free and there's no obligation to buy. If you decide to have us install a new tankless water heater, we'll throw in the water softener for free. That's right, a free water softener when you purchase a tankless water heater. Pick up the phone and call Any Hour Services right now for all the details. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. According to the Utah Film Commission, the film industry has provided $463 million in spending while creating nearly 35,000 jobs and $6 billion in tourism over the last 10 years. And BW Productions is one company making an impact on the industry through corporate video. Founder and managing director Brent Uberty shares more.
Utah recognizes growth within the film community, and our economy and story lovers are reaping the benefits. But the market for story sharing goes well beyond film and television. And there's a massive market for it on the corporate side too. BW Productions helps companies share unique stories to expand their businesses and engage with their audiences. We average 120 photo shoots and 350 video shoots annually to help businesses in dozens of industries nationwide. When you hire us, you hire a company that cares about its employees and community. Since we've started, we've hired dozens of full-time employees and hundreds of contractors in Utah. We are keeping local workers working and helping boost the Utah economy. At BW Productions, we deliver a customer-centric experience that helps tell stories that matter. Our priority is to help you tell your story on your terms. Let's bring your vision to life.
Discover how this award-winning photo and video production agency can help share your story. Check out the BW Productions website. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, it was a code blue night for shelters and resource centers serving the homeless, meaning they have to make room for more people. Second, the University of Utah still wants to know about job applicants' efforts in diversity, equity, and inclusion, but they won't have to sign a DEI statement. And third, mandatory inspections on 737 MAX 9 aircraft mean dozens of canceled flights for Alaska and United Airlines. Right now, 27 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
If snowstorms aren't your thing, freezing temperatures aren't your thing, sorry. I think we're in it to win it. And what I mean by win it is we're going to get a lot of snow out of the next 5 to 7 days. Kevin Eubank joining us in just a moment to walk us through it, Dave.
Well, you know what? I have more fun when Kevin is wrong, and I can tease him about it. When he's absolutely right on every count, I don't know why you'd bring him in on this, because he's just going to take his victory lap and say, I told you so.
Hi,
Is that
Kev.
the world we want to live in?
Yes. Hi, Kev.
Hey,
I love it.
first off,
I love it when I'll get out of your way. Go for it.
That's not true at all. Dave, I would never, ever take a victory lap. And I'll tell you why. Because then people just throw things at me when I'm wrong. I don't want credit or blame.
You can't
I'm going
win.
to be totally neutral.
Kevin, you can't, it's typical like meteorologists like hate mail and hate texts and everything. It's like, you've got all of this gear at your weather center and you can't get it right. And when you do get it right, it's like that doggone weather guy. There's so much snow here. I don't even know where to begin shoveling. But you definitely called this one, and it was spot on. We got quite a bit.
Let's look at this from a big perspective, right? These are not big storms. They're not huge totals. The airport got 3 to 4 inches. Many valley locations got that 2 to 4 inches. And that's a typical December, January type of storm for the valleys. So it wasn't a monster storm, but it is so needed. And the big change, right, is the cold today, temperatures in the 20s with lows in the teens, and then a series of storms coming over the next several days. Each day, we've got the potential to pick up 1 to 3 inches of snow. Now, it's not going to snow every day. It's not going to snow all day every day. But we are going to get these storms coming and going, several of them, over the next 6 to 7 days. And so the combination of all of those storms will likely get the entire month of January's snowfall and part, if not most, of December's snowfall out of the next 7 days. So it's kind of cool to see the pattern go from so dry in December to really productive here in January.
With these cold temperatures, and boy, it was just brutal this morning, is there any kind of like diminishing returns, like it's so cold that it kind of sabotages some of these things, or is it just the colder the better?
Well, the colder the better if you like powdery snow, but it absolutely amplifies the totals. So the colder, Dave, the storm is, the more snowfall we get.
Oh.
And the wetter the snow is, the less snow we get. So the more dense that snow is, we generally get less of it. But when it's super cold, it fluffs it up. So generally you're a 10-to-1 ratio. So a tenth of an inch of snow will create a tenth of an inch of water creates 1 inch of snow. So if you get that 1 inch of water, you get 10 inches of snow. If it's in a cold environment like this, and we were to get 1 inch of water, we'd get 20 to almost 30 inches of snow. Because it's so cold, it just fluffs it up. So we'll likely end up with a little bigger snow total out of some of these storms because of the cold air, but it won't have as much moisture in it. It won't be as beneficial water-wise for us.
You lost me. You start doing math, Kev. You just lost me.
I followed that perfectly.
I've heard the promo. Math on the fly is rough for you, Debbie. I understand.
Kevin Eubank, KSM meteorologist, live on the line. You know why he's on the line with us. We're expecting more snow over the next few days. He said it's not going to snow every day, all day. But I heard earlier from our colleague, Matt Johnson, who was in studio with us this morning while you were sleeping in, Kev. He said that it's probably going to snow during the afternoon commutes. What do you know about that?
Yeah, what happens a lot of times on storms is they do pick up a little 24-hour cycle. And so it does look like tomorrow morning is an okay commute. There might be a little bit in the mountains with a passing piece, but the bigger impact tomorrow is going to come out of the evening. Then that kind of sets up a little 24-hour window, Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, Thursday afternoon. So that happens a lot, and likely the afternoon commutes will be most impacted. But there are a couple of days, Thursday into Saturday, where the actual morning times will have some storms. So it's a very dynamic pattern. There are lots of pieces. And like we said, it isn't just one big monster storm that goes on forever. These are 5 storms that just keep coming in day after day after day. So things are going to change. What we talk about on Monday, right? It's going to be a little different by Wednesday, Thursday. So stay with the KSL weather team. Stay with the KSL weather app. Right. Listen to Dave and Deb. They'll get you through it, but it'll be a lot of fun.
Yep.
With so many 5 different storms kind of blowing in and out, I would assume there's going to be a lot of wind that is coupled with these cold temperatures, so the wind chill is going to be very high in my mind.
Yes, not so much the wind in the valleys. There will be breezy conditions in the valleys. It's actually the wind up on the mountain peaks, and that's where the coldest temperatures will be, as well as some of the snow loading that happens, which elevates avalanche danger. But honest to goodness, it doesn't take a lot of wind to take a 20-degree day and make it feel like single digits. And so anyone outside, our workers outside, our unsheltered friends outside, our pets outside, it's too cold. So you've really got to make sure that you're taking care of those situations and helping those people with warm clothing and all the other things they need. And if your pets are outside, it's too cold for them to be outside. So you need to get them into some shelter or somewhere where they can stay warm, because in these kind of temperatures, it's too cold really for humans or animals to be outside.
I stepped out of the car to jump on tracks on my way in because I didn't want to try to navigate the commute on the slalom on I-15 this morning. And it was weird because I was totally bundled up, Kev. I put my beanie on. I had 4 layers of clothing on, and then the wind kicked up. And I'm like, my face was not prepared for that. It was so cold. How cold? What's like the coldest temperature you're seeing in the forecast over the next few days?
So our overnight lows bottom into the low teens, maybe even some single digits. So generally when there's a lot of cloud cover, we don't get as cold. It's where we clear out. So if some of these storms come and then we get some rapid clearing behind them, that will allow us to possibly dip into the single digit lows. Those aren't in our forecast right now just because the models are hinting at that, but we don't think that's going to happen. So we're in the low teens. But you take an overnight low in the teens and you add in a 5 to 10 mile an hour wind, and all of a sudden you've got a wind chill of 0. So it doesn't take a lot to get very, very cold.
Kevin Eubank, best of luck this week. Thanks for joining us, KSL meteorologist.
Yeah, the KSL Weather Department has been spot on all weekend with their predictions, and this morning with us. Thank you so much to not only Kevin but also to Matt Johnson, who joined us earlier. And make sure you download that KSL Weather app. It's free, and it sure is handy.
It was a great reminder about pets as well. Even if you have outdoor pets, that typically...
Is Azula outside?
She is an outdoor cat, but she spends a lot of time inside when it gets cold. But one of the things that I can mention that we bought is we have a thermometer. Thermometer? What's a thermometer?
Sure.
It's not a thermostat. Anyway, a thermometer that tracks the highs and lows. So she hangs out in the garage when it gets cold, but we like to track and make sure that the garage doesn't get that cold. But if you're like, I wonder if it's too cold in their doghouse or whatever it might be,
out there.
And you can see how high it gets or how low it gets to help you guide whether or not to bring him in.
Well, tomorrow on the show, let's debate whether your cat should be sleeping in the garage during the winter. That's tomorrow's show.
Outdoor cat. You're an outdoor cat.
Maria has more on the developing story, Utah's weather.
FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.